Jai Hind everyone. Welcome to Sanvad, the podcast series of Sunbeam Women's College Varuna that brings meaningful conversations, expert insights, and voices that inspire change. This is your host Soni Rai, and today's episode focuses on a topic that is both crucial and often overlooked: the science of reproductive health, fertility awareness, and evolving innovations in reproductive biology that helps us understand and manage fertility. It is a privilege to welcome Dr. Namrita Ray Ohri, a distinguished gynecologist and IVF specialist from New Life Hospital, Varanasi. She is also known for her expertise in infertility treatment and compassionate approach to patients' care through this episode of Breaking Barriers in Reproductive Health. Welcome to Sanvad, Doctor. My first question to you is: can you share your journey from medical training to becoming an IVF specialist?
When I was in my residency, like when I was doing my post graduation in obstetric and gynae, I used to get a lot of infertility cases in college. And when I was doing my post graduation, which is around 12 years back, so the colleges were not that well equipped with the infertility practice. So it was a very new thing for every one of us, though it has been 50 years. Like treatment for infertility has started, but still it was not there in the colleges. I used to see the couples were so much helpless. They used to face a lot of challenges in infertility, and it was an upcoming branch when I was in my college. So I thought, why not try this field? So it's a super specialty branch now in itself. So after completing my post graduation, I did my course from Bangalore, and the journey started like that. Yes.
Thank you, ma'am. Let's move forward. Ma'am, what are the challenges you faced early in your career and how did you overcome them?
So when I completed with my post graduation and I did my fellowship, so initially I was new, and when I came here, I am not from Varanasi. When I came here, I was a fresh new face for patients also. So there were lots of trust issues. Sometimes patients would just come and see, and they used to think, she's so young, how will she treat me? But then slowly, like seeing patients, they started believing in me. The way I used to talk, they used to feel like, yes, something she is telling, we should listen. And then patients started trusting, and I had an excellent mentor with me, Dr. Neelam Hori, with whom I practice till now. So she is way senior to me, and she herself is a very renowned infertility specialist. So I started my career with her, and the journey started. There were good days, there were bad days, there were days when patient used to just come and say, अरे कुछ भी बोल देंगे, कुछ भी कहते थे, गुस्सा हो जाएंगे. So then there comes the family, your parents, everybody comes in picture that time when your mood is not very good. At the end of the day, then I have a very supporting parents. I used to talk to my father, like this has happened to me. And then I will talk to my husband. I have a kid also now. So yes, playing with him. And I have an excellent mentor, as I told, Dr. Neelam Hori. I used to discuss the cases with her. Like we used to work together, discuss things. And that way, I think the challenges have overcome. So you need to, I think, have a very good balance between family and your work. Like work should not overpower your family thing, and family should not overpower your work thing. I think that balance helped me to overcome all the challenges.
Thank you, ma'am. Ma'am, infertility is often misunderstood, in India especially. So, what are the most common myths you encounter?
So, infertility, yes, a lot of things are misunderstood in infertility. Like, for example, I would say it starts with when we see patients in OPD. That time, if a couple is coming with, like sitting in front of me, they will think that all the problems are there with the female. The girl is the problem. A couple will come, husband will say, Madam, आप इनका test कर लो, देखो. फिर कुछ होगा तो मैं अपना टेस्ट कराऊंगा. So that thing is not right, because it's a 50% 50% ratio. Like
Correct,
many
ma'am.
a times, if 50% there is female's problem, many a times the 50% is male's problem also. So it's not only a female infertility, it is a couple thing. And yes, many a time males are equally affected with infertility, so they have their own problems because of which the pregnancy is just not happening. Other problems, there are other myths, like they will say मैम IVF किया तो बेड रेस्ट ही करना पड़ेगा, आपको बेड रेस्ट पे रहना पड़ेगा. It's not like that. IVF is a very OPD procedure. You don't have to take leaves in that. You don't have to do all bed rest. A person who is working can get a IVF done, and the person in front of that will not come to know that okay, this lady is undergoing IVF, because it's a day-to-day procedure. I mean, we don't recommend anybody saying that अब आपका IVF हो गया है तो आप bed rest करिए, okay? ऐसा तो नहीं है. And there are very many myths, but these are the two common ones which I would like to address.
That was very informative, ma'am. Let's move
you.
forward. How has IVF technology evolved over the years, and what excites you most about its future?
So the first IVF happened in, I think, 1978. So first baby girl was born with IVF. That time the IVF use was a very cumbersome and a very long procedure. There was no ultrasound at that time. There were no purified hormones at that time. Still it happened. With the time being, there was introduction of ultrasound, which made the thing very easy. Now we do very many things with ultrasound, with the help of ultrasound. Then the second advancement that came was a procedure called ICSI. So in ICSI, what happens is we inject a single sperm into the egg. उससे पहले हम एक ट्रे में, एक पेट्री डिश में हम एग को स्पर्म्स के साथ छोड़ देते थे, एंड फर्टिलाइजेशन होता था तो होता था, नहीं होता था तो पूरा प्रोसीजर फेल हो जाता था. सो इक्सी केम, वो सिंगल एग में सिंगल स्पर्म इंजेक्ट करने से एक एडवांसमेंट आया. मीन्स वो दैट वाज अ सेकेंड स्टेप इन IVF. देन द थर्ड, विच वाज अ वेरी revolutionizing step in IVF, was the vitrification and freezing of gametes which came. From here, this whole journey has changed. Like now people and all the girls, everybody is talking about egg freezing. So because of this freezing and vitrification of gametes, this egg freezing came into picture. Now a girl can freeze her egg at the age of 25, and then she would like to reproduce at age of 40 because of this revolutionizing step. So these were the few steps which were very innovative in the field of infertility. Now the technology has gone to some other level. Like now I'm looking forward to a day when people will start having a designer baby, because these things are in picture. They are happening as a as I would say, like I want to have a blue-eyed baby with this particular skin tone and this particular kind of hair. So these things can happen, and they are happening. Though there are few ethical issues coming in the way, I think, but the time is not far behind that these things will overcome in a way. Now there is AI coming everywhere. AI is there. So AI is being inculcated into infertility as well. They are saying that in few I think years only, the research is very much near, that they are putting AI into all the machines which we use, and they will tell us that the quality of embryo, the quality of egg, how it is. Sometimes if the IVF is not successful, we can we can put the input in AI, and they will tell us what things which can be rectified and can be done in a different way. So many things, many innovations are coming in a way.
Thank you, ma'am. It was utterly informative. So my next question to you is, what challenges do patients face during IVF, and how do you support them? And can you share a memorable case that had a deep impact on you as a doctor?
So, what challenges patient face itself, I think when they are carrying the burden of infertility itself is a very big mental challenge for them. They are constantly being harassed at home, they are constantly being pressurized at home that you are not having baby, you are not having baby. It creates a lot of stress in their mind. This stress itself leads to a loss of confidence in themselves. Like a patient will come, if she is unable to bear a child, she will be so low on confidence, she'll be so depressed. And then all these things play a different havoc in her body, the constant stress levels, the constant listening of things. So this is a one big challenge that the patient face. That is where we have to deeply counsel them. It can be like in a various methods, like we have grief counselors, we have our psychiatrist with us. Sometimes they are so depressed that we need to send them to even psychiatrist for help. That's how they do the psychological counseling of them as a couple. A couple counseling is done. Counseling of the female and male separately is also done. So that's how we are working. In our setup, we have a in-house psychiatrist working with us. And sometimes couple do face monetary challenges also. So IVF is not a guaranteed treatment. Like you will not, I will not say that okay इतना पैसा दिया तो बच्चा हाथ में लेके जाओगे, ऐसा नहीं है. Sometimes you will get a happy result, sometimes you will get a not very happy result. So that is where these challenges come, and the patients who are financially not that equipped, they face a different kind of challenge. They are unhappy, they have used a lot of money, they have spent a lot of money. So that monetary challenge also causes a stress level in their life. So it's a very, I think, complex cyclical situation happening. But yeah, once the result is there, they become happy.
So, ma'am, let's move forward. How is ongoing research shaping the future of fertility treatment, and what emerging advancements holds the most promise for improving reproductive health?
So, as I said earlier, a lot of research is going on in the field of AI. Like every day, some new machines are coming up. We are also dealing with a lot of hormones, also. Like in infertility, we use a lot of hormones which are there in our body, but we are giving it from outside. So, the quality of hormones, the type of hormones, they are changing now. Like earlier, I would say when the IVF was started, it started with urinary hormones. Like a pregnant lady would pee, and then in that urine, they used to collect HCG hormone from that. It all started from there. Then they got a purified version of that. Now we are to a level that we have recombinant hormones. Recombinant is like it is purely artificially made hormone. It's very much purified, so chances of allergic reactions are minimal. Patients will not have pain. And the most recent one, which we have now started in our clinic also, is a painless delivery system. So in IVF, lady needs to take a lot of injections. So now what is happening is now they're coming up with a painless delivery system. It is needleless. So there is a machine, we'll just put it over here, thin part, and then we just press it. And because of the pressure, the hormones are going inside your body. So this is a very nice new advancement which has come up very recently, launched in India as well. So this is the good one, apart from all other AI things which are coming. There are lots of researches going on the embryo part. There is a lot of genetics work going on. Like I would say now they are sequencing the whole body, like whole genome sequencing they are doing, and a lot of genetic study are being done. There is a pharmacogenetics separate study going on in which like there are ladies who don't respond to hormones. So there comes this pharmacogenetics which is coming in the picture. So yes, I mean you name it and we have some research going on in a field of infertility.
Ma'am, so how can increasing awareness about reproductive health helps break stigma around infertility?
So, first, for any stigma to break, I think we have to talk about it between ourselves. When we talk about infertility, it is a very hush hush thing. Like, अगर किसी को हो रहा है तो वो आपस में ही बात कर रहा है, और अगर सेकंड पर्सन या थर्ड पर्सन से बात कर रहा है तो वो उसको एक न्यूज़ की तरह ना लें. वी हैव टू टॉक in between ourselves as a normal thing, which is a normal thing, because what we see these days is the rate of infertility is rising थ्री फोल्ड्स. मतलब एक टाइम पे जब हम 10 पेशेंट देख रहे थे इनफर्टिलिटी के, नाउ वी आर सीइंग सम 20 30 पेशेंट्स per day who are suffering from some kind of infertility. So we have to talk about it. That is how we'll break the stigma around it. That we are helping each other and not traumatizing. If somebody has a problem, if we have cold, we talk, अरे मुझे सर्दी हो गई है. So same way, if we start talking about this thing between ourselves, that's how we'll break the stigma around it. So that is one thing.
What empowering message you would like to give to young women to take charge of their reproductive health?
Yeah, so for young women, I would like to say is you have to start early. Start early as a not in a reproductive way, but start early. Everybody needs to have a checkup at least for all the young women out there. When we are having a healthy body, the reproductive health comes automatically. Like if I am healthy, I am eating right food, I am doing right amount of exercise, I am doing everything right amount, then the reproductive health goes hand in hand with your physical and mental health. If any of that thing is broken, the cycle breaks. So for women, I would like to say you have to take care of yourself in every way. Then your reproductive health will automatically be in sync with your body health, your mental health. One more thing I would like to say to young females is get a gynec checkup done at least when you turn 25, because as I said, the rate of infertility is rising 2 to 3 folds, and if you are getting a routine gynec checkup done, we can just see and screen many things way before something bad happens, and there we can give them options. Like for example, I would say for every female to get their ovarian reserve checked. This is a thing called we do it with hormonal assays, and we do ultrasound for females, and that's how we come to know what's their ovarian reserve, what is their ovarian aging like, and that's how you will come to know that how much to delay your reproductive life, and how much time they have. Apart from that, when you know your ovarian reserve, for example, if a girl of 25 comes to me that I want to know my ovarian reserve and how much time do I have for my reproductive life. So if her AMH is decreasing, her ovarian reserve is decreasing, I would not say कि तुम बच्चा जल्दी पैदा कर लो. We can have an option of freezing their eggs. So there comes the women empowerment. I mean, I'm not telling females के आप काम करना छोड़ दो, आप सब चीज़ छोड़ो and start producing, get married and start reproducing. No, but at least if a female knows her ovarian reserve, she can plan her life accordingly. It will be easy for her. She will know, okay, this is my timeline, this is my biological timeline. And that way she can adjust her life. If at all somebody wants to like, no, मुझे 45 पे pregnancy चाहिए, I want to work till 45, I want to prove something in my life. So that lady can also get pregnant at 45, obviously, but she will have to preserve her eggs in advance, because once she's 45 and if she comes to me like, ma'am, अब मेरे को प्रेगनेंसी प्लान करना है विथ माई एग, अब करना है, आई डोंट, एंड दैट टाइम शी विल नॉट हैव हर ओवेरियन रिजर्व विथ हर. सो एज माइट सपोर्ट her, but egg biology won't support her. So if she has done that egg freezing way earlier, she can plan her life accordingly. So that is one thing I would love to say to females, because it is happening. It is happening right here in Varanasi, but we need to know that.
Ma'am, if you could change one thing in healthcare system, what would it be, and what key message you would like to share with Gen Zs to take charge of their reproductive health?
So I would like one thing to change in the healthcare system is we all are practicing reactive medicine, not preventive medicine. Reactive medicine is when we get sick, when we face some problem, that time we go to we go into that system. We are going to a healthcare personnel when we are suffering from something. A preventive medicine is that we are going in advance and talking about it and knowing from the specialist, like, okay, I don't have this, but what all things can I do to prevent it? So that is a preventive medicine. This thing needs to be inculcated in our healthcare system, which is like a very important thing which I feel today is. I would like to tell Gen Z that first of all, stop believing each and everything they say on social media or on Instagram or whatever pages. Like, not everything out there which we are Googling or we are or it's there on social media is everything and everything is correct, because sometimes there will be a lot of knowledge on Google, but what to do, what to pick when, that person might not be knowing because they are not specialist in that branch. So Google will give you a whole list of knowledge, but it will not tell, okay, this much is only suitable for you or that much is only suitable for you. It will give top to bottom, and that person, when you will read it and you will be like, oh my god, मुझे तो क्या क्या हो गया है. I mean, because you will not be knowing other things के क्या और है. Second thing is, these days Gen Z have a lot of stress in their life. Lot of the sleep patterns are deprived. A lot of screen time is there. I mean, the obesity is increasing too much. The lifestyle problems are there. Food habits are not proper. So all these things are affecting one's health in every way. It's not only about infertility, it's about each and every aspect of your body which is getting affected when you are having this fast lifestyle, this much of stress, so much of screen time, so much of unhealthy food consumption. So all these things are affecting one's health, and in turn they are affecting your reproductive health also, because once the obesity increases, once the stress increases, once the sleep pattern is haywire, so all the hormones in your body also goes haywire, and when the hormones go haywire, your reproductive health also is affected. So it's a vicious cycle. So you have to be in a very proper this thing. Second thing is, I would like to tell females that, as I told, that biological clock and your body clock is like your goals are very two different thing. I mean, you might think that IVF is everything. I mean, if it can help me achieve anything, but no, it's not like that, because the science has advanced, but the body is the same. It has not advanced. So science cannot replace your body. So you have to listen to it. And for females, I would like to say that you can have a very informed decision about your body. As I said earlier, ovarian reserve can be checked, and that way they can plan their life according to it, and they can have a very healthy, happy life. So yes.
Thank you, ma'am. Ma'am, we would like to end it with rapid fire round. So, are
Sure.
you ready?
Yeah, yeah.
Okay. So, one word for your profession:
Difficult.
coffee or tea during long shifts.
I would say green tea.
Most rewarding moment as a doctor.
When a couple takes a healthy, happy baby home, that's the most rewarding thing.
A habit that keeps you grounded.
My daily exercise routine, it should be there, and I work out every day in the morning. That is one thing which I need in my life.
Thank you, ma'am, for today's podcast. To our listeners, this was Sanvad, the podcast series of Sunbeam Women's College, Varuna. We hope today's conversations help you break stigma, stay informed, and prioritize your health. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe for more insightful conversations. Until next time, stay aware, stay empowered. Thank you, and Jai Hind, everyone.